Hello, and welcome to Walking to Urithiru. I'm Overlord Jeebus. This is part 7 of my Oathbringer preview chapter analysis. This week we're just going to cover chapters 11 and 12. The chapter 11 is called The Rift, and it's set 33 years ago. This is a year after the last flashback chapter we had. And we open with Dalinar, Sadeas, and Gavilar, getting all prepped for a battle. Dalinar has his own set of plates, which he seems to have won on a less than official duel. It seems Kaladin's not the only one to have killed a shard bearer with no shards. And I initially kind of perked up at this because you may remember a few chapters ago that Dalinar mentioned he married for a set of plate. And I assumed that was the set of plate he was using, but then if you go back and read chapter 14 of Words of Radiance, Adolin mentions that the set of plate that he's using is actually from his mother's family. So it seems we actually knew that Dalinar originally married for plate, and it's actually Aiden's plate. So it seems interesting that Dalinar married for a set of plate he didn't need, if you can't really think about it, which is, plate's worth it generally. It's generally a very important item. What else is curious to me is that not only did Dalinar's wife family have plate, she seems not only has she died, and not only has she gone from Dalinar's memory, but it seems none of her family exist anymore, which is very curious to me. You'd think the family of, Dalinar Kholin, who own plate and seem important enough for him to marry, for a political, or I assume some sort of political allegiance, you'd think that the rest of the family would be about, but no, it seems that this doesn't seem to be anyone else related to her about us anymore, which is unusual, I feel. I'm very curious to find out more about Dalinar's wife, but that's basically sums up the entire Oathbringer, really, doesn't it? This flashback focuses on the attack on Rathalas. There's a hunter monster called Rathalos. This attack focuses on Rathalas, which is the city that Kadesh mentioned as the event that made him leave being a soldier and join the Ardentia. And I did suspect that the Dalinar's wife incident that he was thinking about and the event that Kadesh was talking about were two different events, and I do feel like this is the event that Kadesh was talking about because he does turn up near the end of this chapter. So, annoyingly, in part 2, I wondered where Rathalos was, and it's right there on the Alethka map. So, I'm very sorry, I'll try to do better next time, guys. So Gavilar, Sadeas, and Dalinar charge in first. They take the walls for the army hangar move in, and they manage it. This is just a nice action scene. Dalinar, whilst standing on a vantage point over the city, notices that it's a bit crumbly and warns Gavilar and Sadeas to stay back before the ground beneath him crumbles. And this is a nice little callback to the first flashback chapter where Sadeas says that not even a rock slide could kill Dalinar, and then now he's proven right. So Dalinar engages the city lord Tanalan, who has a shard blade, and his shard blade is the titular Oathbringer, and this is the situation that Dalinar obviously is going to win Oathbringer. He engages him, they have a little scuffle, but then it seems Tanalan is very wounded, and they retreats with some soldiers. Dalinar follows him to a kind of a hidden little hidey hole in the cliff face, where he kills a few soldiers protecting him, and then comes across Tanalan, assumingly his wife crying over his body, and his 6-year-old son holding the shard blade, telling him, you're not going to get my daddy kind of thing. And then we fade to black. Now I've seen a lot of arguments about whether Dalinar actually did kill the kid. Dalinar says he's ashamed of what he did, his actions and what he's done, and he hopes that Gavilar doesn't find out. But then Gavilar comes to him and says, hey, he knows that you've killed the City Lord and the City Lord's heir. So it can't just be that Dalinar killed the child. So even after Dalinar finds out that Gavilar knows that Dalinar killed the heir, Dalinar still says he's ashamed of something. I can see two possibilities here. Either Dalinar didn't kill the boy, which seems to be a quite popular theory, and he's ashamed of letting him go free, and that's why, he's ashamed, because it would show that he's being soft, and Dalinar's the Blackthorn, he doesn't get soft. And the other option I see is that Dalinar not only killed the child, but also killed the wife. And he probably did it in the middle, really hyped up by the thrill. The Alethi, they glorify war and martial prowess, but what they don't glorify is the brutalizing of women and children. And I feel like that's more likely, but I also do think that there is the possibility that he let the heir live. And in fact, other people have said that they think that maybe him letting Talanan's heir live will be what eventually starts the rebellion that Dalinar's wife is killed in, which kind of falls in line with people's theories that the event that Kadesh was chatting about is the same as the event that's caused Dalinar's wife to die. I don't like this theory as much, just because it disagrees with both my theory that they're two separate events and my theory that Dalinar killed both the wife and the child. But I do accept that this is a possibility. I mean, one more thing is that whilst Kadesh is mentioned during this conversation between Dalinar and Gavilar, he's not mentioned any time beforehand, and he's definitely not present for the moment that Dalinar wins Oathbringer. So I feel like if this is the event that caused Kadesh to leave the army and join the Ardentia, we're going to have to return to this event at some point and show what actually happened down there and why it caused Kadesh to leave. If this is the event that caused Kadesh to leave, that is. The last little bit of this chapter mentions that the Sunmaker's name is Sadiz, and I wonder if that means that the Sadius family is descended from him, in which case it would make a lot of sense as to why Sadius would so happily join in with the Kholin conquest to unite Alethkar. You know, he's from the family that did it last time. I like this theory. It's a nice little touch in the world. So that's the end of chapter 11, and so we go on to chapter 12, where Dalinar's just having a little gander out the window of Urithiru, as he likes to do, and he has a little chat with the Stormfather, and they talk about the Old Radiance, and Dalinar asks him about why the Old Radiance, gave up their old oaths, and he said it's something that the Stormfather said this is something that's best left forgotten. And I have a very, very strong suspicion it's because if Dalinar and co know the reason that the Old Radiance gave up their oaths, they themselves would give up their oaths. The Spren are keeping a secret, and it's a big one. They talk a lot about how the Radiance betrayed them. I have a feeling that the Spren have been lying to the Radiance. They might not all be aware, but I mean, the Stormfather definitely knows what's up. This chapter focuses on Dalinar having a chat with all these world leaders via Spanri to try and unite them and get them to, come to visit him in Urithiru. We get May Aladar is mentioned again. We also get a mention of Kalami and Teshev, but they were in Words of Radiance Awakening, so I don't think that they are going to be Vivenna. But Kalami's wards, though, I do not think they were mentioned. We find some interesting information about all the different ways that the cities are reacting to the Voidbringers' attacks. It sounds like the Azish are actually negotiating with the Voidbringers, and the Dalinar city had all their boats stolen. Some people are thinking that the Voidbringers are taking on forms and with skills that are suited to attack those nations in certain ways. I don't think it's that coordinated. I believe it's just the Voidbringers taking advantage of the situations they're in. Dalinar itself is quite an unimportant little island compared to, the main continent of Roshar. So I have a feeling they just grab the boats just because they want to get back to the mainland. They're very close to Alethkar, and as we know in Alethkar, all the Voidbringers are heading to Kholinar. And so I have a feeling that they stole the boats in order to, A, take the boats away from the Thalans. As Dalinar says, that's their main that's their thing, and also so that they can reach the main force that's gathering in Kholinar. The Azish think that they're negotiating with the Voidbringers to try and buy themselves more time, but I actually think it's the other way around. I think it's the Voidbringers are negotiating with the Azish in order to buy the Voidbringers more time, because obviously, as I said before, I think Odium wants to win this time, so he's doing everything he can to get everything into the place to kind of, without a doubt, win as quickly as possible once the Weeping ends, because by the time when the Weeping ends, all those Radiants that have been struggling with all their Stormlight, they're not going to struggle anymore. We have all these conversations with all the different world leaders, and I swear to God, May Aladar is mentioned like 4 times in this scene. That either she's going to become a character later on, or it's definitely Vivenna. Once all of the world leaders have turned down Dalinar's requests, Elhokar turns up, and it seems he's had some realizations about himself. He even calls himself a liar to himself. I wonder if he's said some truths. He was being followed by cryptics. Well, I'm not a big fan of this theory, but I've seen it floating around out there, and it doesn't sit right with me at all. But we'll see. So Elhokar then names Dalinar High Prince, as he's, as I am to Alethkar, you are to me, which is a nice little. I quite like this. Elhokar seems to have actually. He even says, I might not be the best king, I might be acceptable, but I'm no Blackthorn. I'm not you. Which is what he says to Dalinar, and I really liked Elhokar in this scene, which probably means Elhokar's definitely going to die. He talks about how he wants to sneak into Kholinar and activate the Oathgate, and they also talk about how they need Kaladin because they need him, to fly over there to take a small team. And I don't think Kaladin's going to be back in time, and so I actually think Dalinar's going to give Elhokar the Honor Blade that he even mentions, because he even mentions it as in this chapter, which is finally the first mention we've had of the Honor Blade. And so it does seem Dalinar is keeping it secret, and I have a feeling he's going to give it to Elhokar to allow him to go to Kholinar to, activate the Oathgate, and so they can take out Kholinar. And as we've discussed before, I think that Kholinar is super fucked, so I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So then we end the chapter with Taravangian messaging Dalinar, being all like, hey, I want to come to Urithiru. I've got a Radiant of my own. She says she can activate the Oath Gate. I want to come and accept your authority, and, you know, we can work together to make the world a better place. And there is no possible way that Taravangian doing this is going to go wrong. And like that moment where Dalinar said, you can unite the world with Taravangian by his side, just my heart just dropped. I'm like, oh no, this is going to end up badly. Oh, I should also mention that Taravangian's Radiant is female. We don't know who she is, so I'm going to put her on the A might be Vivenna list until proven otherwise. And yeah, so that's the end of these chapters. This was actually a lot shorter than I thought. Even though the chapters themselves were extremely long, there wasn't a huge amount of information, you know, relating to the rest of the world. We just had a lot of politicking, and we had a lot of fight and a lot of personal stuff with Dalinar. But yeah, a couple of chapters, and yeah, if you'd like to leave a comment down below, or reply to me on the Discord, or on the 17th Shard post, that are included in the description. And I'll see you guys next time, where we can continue walking to Urithiru. Bye!